my fabulous friends. Jackie Edwards here. Today I want to talk about iron. And you might be like, what does this have to do with being fearless over 40? And for me, this is all about having the confidence to advocate for yourself in like a healthcare or medical setting, or just having, I guess, the confidence to kind of continue to look a little bit deeper, because iron has been like a huge eye-opening thing for me just in these past week or so. And I just got an iron infusion, and oh my god, it's changed my entire world. And I wish I would have done this, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago when I went to the doctor back in 2019. And I was struggling with energy. I was struggling with sleeping at night and staying asleep. I could fall asleep, but I couldn't stay asleep. And every night I was waking up at 3, 4 in the morning and just awake for ages. Um, and fuzzy, foggy head. Again, low energy. Lots of different things. I have really heavy periods. So I guess the one good thing that came out of that appointment was, we diagnosed my fibroids. So I had a uterine scan and diagnosed my fibroids. So that was good. And that kind of explained the heavy periods. And I kind of gone on that journey, which I'm sure I'll talk about again, because this place is just for us to chat about all the things that we women go through once well, almost all the time, but especially over 40. And pretty much, I don't know, there's some crazy high percentage of women that have fibroids over 40. And also, as I've learned now recently, almost all women are deficient in iron. Maybe not anemic deficient, but have low iron levels. And that's because we bleed every month. Um, or I mean, we don't all bleed every month, but I'm just being general here. So most women of menstruating age have low iron reserves. And I didn't realize what a big deal this was. And I didn't realize how many things in your life iron does. Because basically, and I'm not a doctor, this is not health advice, this is just my random learnings from my recent appointments and Google, is that if you have low iron, you're basically not making enough blood, your oxygen doesn't travel, it's all kinds of crazy. Um, and a lot of the symptoms kind of match symptoms of other things. So I thought a lot of my symptoms were just perimenopause. I'm I'm getting to that age, all these brain fog, my restless sleep, um, my lack of energy. It's just perimenopause. And I guess this is just what my life is going to be like for the next however many years. Um, but I wish I would have dug into it more in 2019 when the doctor was like, oh, look, your blood test results show, for me, it was low ferritin levels. And she gave me, so she prescribed some iron tablets, but was basically all I heard, so maybe this is completely different, but what I heard was, oh, you've got some low iron, here's some tablets. Um, don't take them for too long, too many, because high iron is bad. So I was like, okay, well, she didn't explain that that was going to solve any problems or anything. She was just a random oh, I've looked at this blood test, here's the thing, take some pills. I wish I would have looked into it now, because basically iron would have solved all my problems. So my periods, I guess, over the next, I guess, 6 years since 2019 have continued to be very heavy because of the fibroids. And again, I've seen a specialist, whatever. They will continue to be very heavy until menopause. Um, so I have taken iron pills on and off, iron supplements, but my iron levels have not gone up. So there was no really danger of them being high. Um, yeah, so I finally, again, it's been 6 years. My head is so foggy. I've been so tired. And I thought, perimenopause, I thought it was stress. In the, intervening 5, 6 years since then, I've project managed building our farm. I've kind of single-handedly run the alpaca farm until my husband retired recently. I've done a lot of things in these past 6 years. So I've been busy. So I was like, yeah, it's stress, perimenopause. That's why I'm tired and foggy and all these things. I also didn't realize that because I guess it crept up on me so slowly, but like my breathlessness. So I'm fat. I was the fabulously fat feminist was my name previous to this. Um, I am still fat. Um, so I was just like, oh, my short breath, my breathlessness kind of is just because I'm out of shape. Even though like again, I work and live on a farm, like I am very active. Um I shouldn't be breathless. Like standing up shouldn't make me breathless. Oh, I just had a little note about my camera. Anyways, standing up shouldn't make me breathless. Like rolling around in bed at night to get comfortable shouldn't make me breathless. My heart should not start racing when I stand up. But I was just like, oh, you're old. That's what happens. No. And, oh, you're fat. That's just what happens. There's where the whole fat phobia in the healthcare and just world gets to you. Because even though I see myself as very body positive, fat positive, like I know my fat does not cause all my health problems. But I still have all of that kind of conditioning running in my head where I was like, yeah, I just can't breathe deeply enough because I've got so much fat and it's pushing on my lungs. That's why I get short of breath. And I'm just fat. That's why my like heart races a bit when I have to like stand up or do anything. Or I'm fat. That's why I have to like sit down a lot. I'm just lazy. Those things, not true. I again had my blood, or not my blood, my iron infusions, basically like an iron drip, a couple of days ago. Like that afternoon, like I was waiting. I was thinking, oh, it'll take a couple of weeks to like for everything to like start to run through. That afternoon, I was sitting and I was like, I feel like I can breathe. Like it just felt like there was so much space. Like it wasn't like a struggle. I was like, oh my God, it really was a struggle to breathe. And then when I stand up or move around, like my heart isn't racing. Like I remember the doctor asking me, like, do you have shortness of breath? And I was like, no, I don't have shortness of breath. Or heart palpitations. I was like, I don't have heart palpitations. Like, that sounds intense. Like I don't have heart palpitations. Holy shit, I did have heart palpitations. Like when my heart was racing, every time I did anything, those were heart palpitations. And the reason I had them was because I had low ferritin levels and like low iron being running around my body. So I didn't have enough oxygen, like moving around because of all the things iron does to like make blood cells and move oxygen. So by adding iron, I can now breathe. I don't get breathless or have heart palpitations or racing heart. My heart rate is lower. My brain fog is cleared. I sleep at night. So one of the things that got me to looking at iron again now more closely, well, there's a couple things. So, but one of the main things that made me really think about it is, again, I still have been struggling with sleep, and I'm like, God, what can I do? So I was like, maybe I will get tested for sleep apnea. So I was talking to the doctor, and he was asking me if I have like restless legs at night. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, I wiggle a lot. Like, I don't know if that's what that is. Like, I like really struggle to like be still, and especially at night. And he's like, oh, because basically he was kind of saying like what you're presenting with sounds a lot more like restless leg syndrome, than sleep apnea. Because again, I just assume sleep apnea because I'm fat and whatever. And he said, he said, so we'll get you tested for sleep apnea and we'll do the sleep test. He's like, but that can also show if you've got restless legs. So if you're not having breathing disturbances, that'll be that. He's like, and a lot of times restless legs is just caused by low iron levels. So, if that's what the test shows, we'll have your blood test. And I was like, well, I have blood tests done and they always show low iron levels. I've had low iron levels for years. I was like, but I take supplements once in a while. He's like, well, maybe that's not it then if you take supplements. Dude, these supplements I was taking was not enough. So that got me thinking. And so I had another blood test done. I do these like little at-home blood tests. Um, and yeah, of course it showed I still had low ferritin levels. Then I Googled like that level of low ferritin levels. And it's basically, so my ferritin was below 30, whatever measurement, which is the amount that they would recommend an iron infusion for. I was like, holy shit, they must be really low if they would recommend an iron infusion for this. So luckily I went through all the hoops of insurance and non-insurance and all that stuff. And there's an iron clinic nearby. So I talked to the doctor there. She's like, yeah, you're definitely, a candidate for an iron infusion. It should help you start feeling better quite quickly. And then, we can, of course, they always want to fix the underlying cause, which is my heavy menstrual cycle. But I've spoken to the specialist. I'm not quite ready to get my uterus taken out yet. That feels just a little bit extreme. Anyways, so I'm going to continue to have heavy periods. And so I was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's get this iron infusion. Let's see, if I just have to do that, once even every year, but it'll probably be like not even every year if I continue taking tablets as well. Oh my God, it made a massive difference. And then again, talking to the doctor while I was having the iron infusion about how most women are low in iron, and then realizing what iron actually does in our body and all the things that it's like completely changed in my life in just a couple of days. Why is this not more spoken of? And maybe it is, but I like to think of myself as quite curious. And I read a lot of stuff. I have ADHD. I hyperfocus like crazy. I am in all kinds of tangents all over the place. That's why you will see that in these videos. I'm all over the place. I research lots. I know lots of things. And I never realized all the things that iron does. And I wonder if it's because men don't really have this problem. And the doctor was telling me, like, most men, like, it's very rare to see a man with iron deficiency because they're not bleeding every month. If they do have it, it's because there's some kind of underlying, like, usually a stomach problem or something like that where they're like internally bleeding. Um, so yeah, I guess they just don't talk about it very much. Whereas if most women have in their kind of menstruating years have some level of iron deficiency, why don't we know that we should be looking at this as a thing, especially if the symptoms overlap with so many generic symptoms? Because again, brain fog, headaches is a big one. I get massive, massive headaches, so I'm really excited to see if that's going to help my headaches. Um, tiredness, fatigue, shortness of breath, um, rapid heart rate, kind of heart palpitations, um, like bruising. I bruise so easily. Just like pale skin, that kind of stuff. Brittle nails. One of the things, I used to have such long, beautiful, strong nails. They like never broke. Everything was wonderful. And for the past however many years, like I keep really short nails now. You can even see like, oops, that one has a little bruise on it. Um, I keep really short nails now because they're constantly broken because they're super brittle. Yeah, iron deficiency can cause that. Crazy. So that is my little rant. I just wanted to share that because my mind is blown. And again, this is not health advice. I am in no way a health expert, but I want to recommend that you look more deeply. And if you can, kind of take a bit more of your, like, pay a bit more attention to your body and what it's feeling and what's going on. And don't just pass things off as, oh, that's, just me getting old or I'm out of shape or whatever stuff we're told. Um, you can do a lot by yourself, and it is okay to Google things. Like, Google isn't the be all end all for medical, and I know people get laughed at for, oh, I just went to Dr. Google, but there's so much information there. And I live in the UK where healthcare, we're lucky we have the NHS, but the NHS is drowning right now, and there aren't enough doctor's appointments. The doctors don't have enough time to spend with you. I know I am American. Healthcare in the US is so expensive. Um, it's hard to get any kind of like preventative care or like just going to the doctor to get information. Most of the time now we go to the doctor when like we're really sick, when there's really a problem. Whereas like if we can start looking at some of this stuff ahead of time and just having this little bit of understanding and just advocating for ourselves or having the confidence to like do that bit of research ourselves and just be curious about what could be causing this. Maybe it's not just, oh, we're old or we're in perimenopause or these are just things that happen now at our age. There could be things that we can fix or help with a bit of extra supplementation. I am a big believer in supplementation. I also believe like we can eat a very varied diet and lots of healthy fruits and vegetables, and those give us vitamins as well. But it's a thing, like the minerals and vitamins in our soils, they're depleted. Like we're over farming lots of stuff, lots of the things we get, there is just not the same level. And also, I think that even when we have like blood tests and we test our like vitamin and nutrient levels, I don't want to just be at average. I want to be optimal, because average is just where like everybody's wandering around every day not feeling great. I want to feel great. I want to have high levels of energy and all those wonderful supplements in my body. So I do take a lot of supplements. Um I guess I should have been taking more iron, and I should have paid attention to how exactly to take it, on an empty stomach with a bit of vitamin C to help the absorption, and understanding that a lot of iron and even a lot of supplements aren't absorbed very well in our stomach, and just all of these things. Um, so have a little bit of time, take a little bit of time to just sit back and feel into your body and really think about, what do you feel? How are things changing? Because sometimes it happens so slowly. Like I said, like I was like almost constantly breathless. Like when I had the iron infusion that afternoon and I was just sitting, and I suddenly felt like, oh my gosh, I can breathe. It wasn't even like while I was doing an activity. It was just now when I'm sitting, I can feel like how I can take deeper breaths, and they just feel, it's not even like they feel deeper. It just feels more free. And it's just learning how to notice these things about our bodies so that we can, like, change happens. That's what happens all of our lives. Like, our bodies do change over time. They are changing as we get older. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. And being older doesn't mean like our bodies are failing. It just might mean some things need tweaking. We might need some more supplements. We might need to eat more of certain things to just balance our bodies. And we should still seek doctor's advice as much as we can. Like, I couldn't get an iron infusion without seeing a doctor. Like, that is a medical kind of procedure that's overseen by a doctor, at least here. Um, but it's understanding when to kind of push for more. And I get at home kind of blood tests. I do those little finger prick ones. Thriva for those of you in the UK, although I might be switching because they aren't as like all encompassing as they used to be. Um, and I just like to check things because I do get B12 injections every so often as well. Those help a lot for like energy and brain fog. Um, and vitamin D is a massive one. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. I won't want to go all over the place. But vitamin D does so many things. It's crazy. Um, and most of us are, unless you're taking vitamin D supplements or live in a beautiful sunny place and are outside a lot, you probably have some level of like low vitamin D as well. Here in the UK, everybody should be taking a vitamin D supplement. I'm from like the northern part of the US. Um, Most people there should probably be taking a vitamin supplement because it's awfully cold and there's not very much sunlight in the winter most of the year, basically. Um, and vitamin D, again, does so many different things in our body. Like we just think, oh, it's just one random vitamin, but it helps so many of our body's processes and systems to just function. And we want to continue functioning. Like, just because we're old, here we are in midlife, we're in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, doesn't mean that our quality of life has to decline. And I think that's been the narrative that's been pushed for so long is, you just get older, especially as women, we're just, put out to pasture. Like, once you're past your prime, your breeding age, your capabilities there, like, you're just not really, there's nothing important anymore. It's just all downhill from there. And it's not. Like, this is the time of our lives where we have more freedom than ever. Like, we're generally, just we're older, we've been, working longer, we tend to have, more money. If we've had children kind of by our 40s and 50s, our children are older, they're left the home, we're getting to retirement, we are retired, we've got more time, we've got more money, we've got more freedom. we've got more possibilities now. We've got more power, more wisdom. Like, we've got a lifetime of knowledge. We've got so much to live for and to have fun. And we can have so much if we just spend, I think, that time tuning in and listening to our bodies. And again, having that curiosity of saying, I know they've said, yeah, as you get old, you'll just be tired. You're just lazy. That's just how life is. And think, what if I could tweak something and just feel that little bit better? And for me recently, iron. So I'm not saying everybody should go out and take an iron supplement. I'm saying maybe have a blood test if you haven't had one recently. Look at all, make sure it's kind of a full panel. Look at all those vitamins and minerals as well. Make sure you're not missing anything. And look where you can make a few tweaks. And maybe some of those things that you just live with and think is part of who you are now, as you get older, maybe it isn't. And maybe you can make a change and just have that little bit more. All right, I'm going to stop rambling now. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm sure I will have loads more videos on all the things that I think about randomly. I also look a bit of a mess because I just came out here. I also have something really fun coming up. I'm doing a little mini retreat. I'm leaving this evening, just a little mini solo retreat. So I'm going to be sharing about that and giving you a little process where you can have your own mini solo retreat to maybe focus on some of this stuff that we've just talked about in this video, or some other stuff that I'll share later. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found that helpful, and I will see you again soon.